Okay, so according to my message, we're being live streamed. So I'd like to welcome everyone to this special meeting of Council. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and the voices and images of those participating in the meeting
Mayor, you're on mute at the moment. Okay, Deputy Mayor Price, would you like to take over?
Unfortunately, I don't have any of the agenda like Jenny has in front of her in the format that she normally does. Can we give 2 minutes to see if she can get back online?
Yeah, so I'll just give the Mayor a quick call and see what the problem is before we decide how to proceed.
Yeah,
We're back.
Just a welcome acknowledgement of the traditional owners, apologies and declaration of conflict of interest.
Yes, so can you hear me now? I don't know what happened then. I'm using a different computer and it just dropped out. So if that happens again, my apologies. I've got a helper in view, my husband, for anyone that's watching.
Leave it now from time to time.
Thank you. Okay. Start again, and the dog's in as well. So this is going to be an interesting meeting. Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land on which we're meeting from across the Shire and pay respects to elders past and present. Are there any apologies? I'll just note that Councillor Trenary is not at the meeting tonight. I haven't heard from him, so we'll put him as a leave of absence, I think. Any declarations of conflict of interest? That's the dog. Okay. All right. So tonight we're here to hear submissions on a proposed local law 3. Did you want to say something, Mr. Pinkerton? No. Okay, good. And so this has been put out for comment to the community, and this will be coming for decision to council on the meeting on the 15th of September. We've had 3 submissions. 2 of them have elected not to speak at the September meeting, but Mr. John Harvey has asked to speak at the meeting. So in line with our usual process, Mr. Harvey gets 5 minutes to present his submission, and then I'll ask councillors if they have any questions. So at this stage, are there any questions from councillors before we start the process? Okay, so can we bring Mr. Harvey in, please? Hello, John, you're on mute. So you'll need to unmute your microphone, John. Can you hear me? You need to unmute, just unmute your microphone.
That's that better?
Perfect. Okay, so welcome. And thank you for your submission. I'm not sure if you just heard what I said. There's been 3 submissions for this.
Yeah, I have them in front of me.
And you're the one that, yeah, you were elected to speak. So ordinarily you get 5 minutes just to, put forward your submission, and then councillors may ask you questions for clarification. We don't debate the issues at this meeting. This is really an opportunity for you to just let councillors know what your views are about the proposed changes. So I'll hand over to you, and I'll let you know when you've got 30 seconds to go.
No, I probably won't take 5 minutes. I just want to go over what I wrote and add a couple of things. And thank you for the opportunity.
Pleasure.
Look, the stated purpose of local law number 3 is to replace an existing law and to create offenses with respect to the conduct of meetings and to regulate and control the use of the common seal. I haven't got any problem with regulating the use of the common seal. That's pretty straightforward. The other bit bothers me. Australia is supposed to be a Western liberal democracy, but at the moment you could be forgiven for doubting that. you got people in Hong Kong and Belarus fighting for the democratic rights that we're supposed to have here. So, you know, and I really think at the moment our rights are being eroded. Now, I'll the first to agree that council meetings need to be conducted according to established norms, parliamentary procedures, and there needs to be common courtesy and respect for each other. However, I think the proposed law, as I've read it, goes a long way beyond that. To me, it seems very draconian, arbitrary, and subjective. And if someone wanted to, I'm not saying the present council would, but if someone wanted to, it could be easily used to stifle debate and criticism, not only at council meetings, but I read it applies to committees and possibly even public forums. Now, people do get kind of heated at public forums. Now, and what the two words that really bother me are offensive and objectionable. And the problem to me is who determines what is offensive and objectionable? As you know, we live in an era now where some people take offense at almost anything. And as I said in my submission, you know, a brand of cheese, which had nothing to do with, it was the man's name, or a brand of beer, or someone like the Catholic Church supports traditional marriage, or even a classic movie made in 1939, people took objection to. And if you, like in Indigo Shire, which is the historic Shire, even reading from historic documents could be considered offensive. We've had that happen with Mayday Hills. Some people are now getting upset by male and female pronouns. And I imagine that there are people in Indigo Shire who are offended by a park being named after Queen Victoria. And then we live in an area where of political correctness, where a politically incorrect remark or a point of order at a meeting can get you in trouble. And the other thing that bothers me about local law number 3 is it denies natural justice. Based on my reading of it, there is no right of appeal against the chairperson's rulings or any way of moving dissent from the chair. These are rights that one would expect to find under our system of government and under the common law, that you would have some right of appeal. Now, the last thing I'd like to say is that a democracy like ours requires spirited debate and argument, and it relies on freedom of thought and expression. And I think the citizens of Indigo Shire should feel free to voice their concerns. I think the penalties as outlined in this law are going to intimidate an awful lot of people. They're going to be very hesitant to say what they really think. I'm not saying they need to use obscene language or insult people or anything like that, but you know, this is going to, people are going to say, oh, I might get fined $500 if I express an opinion. So, you know, I think you should seriously think about making some amendments to this or replacing it with something that, you know, reflects democratic values more than what's written here. And that's really what all I've got to say. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you, John. You've got another 30 seconds if you want to add anything.
No, I haven't. That's what I wanted to say. And
okay, thank you.
I've now said it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, so Councillor Goldsworthy, you have a question?
I do. John, are you aware that section 46A of the local law that's being replaced, local law 3, states basically the same thing and has the same penalty?
Well, even if it does, I don't agree with it.
All right. You're probably not aware that nobody's been fined, at least over the last 12 years.
Yeah, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the potential is there.
Okay.
You know, even if it's not used, it could theoretically be used.
Yeah.
And I do know that people in Indigo Shire are a little frightened of expressing their opinions.
Yeah. And are you aware that if you do get a fine from council, you've got the right to appeal that to the magistrate's court and take it there for a ruling of what's maybe.
And that's a very expensive process, I would imagine.
But the natural justice can be seen by that way. You're aware of that?
No, I don't know all the ins and outs of all the acts of local government. I'm just saying my reading of this is it seems to be very draconian.
Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
any right of appeal, like you mentioned now, could involve, a lot of people won't do that, and it could be very expensive.
Okay, anyone got any other questions for John?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We've got your written submission as well, and of course, and there are two, as I said, two others people have also submitted.
Yeah.
So, all of those submissions will be taken into account by councillors.
I have
before the
copies
vote.
of the other submissions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So they express similar things. So we will take those views into account before we make a decision on the 15th. And thank you very much for taking the time to come and express your views. And we welcome that. We do welcome that, despite your concerns. We actually do welcome people putting forward their points of view to us so that we can fairly represent the people of Indigo Shire and all of the different views, obviously, that people have across the Shire. So thank you, John. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing at all, other than thank you for the time.
Okay, great. And I can hear my husband throwing pots around the kitchen, so I might let you go.
And I imagine Greg Pinkerton's going to give me the gong any second now. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think Greg will take you out of the meeting, and thank you very much for putting in the time. Okay, councillors, at this point, let me just go back to the contents. I think that's it, unless I don't think there's any general business. That's it. So councillors, thanks for your time, and go and enjoy your dinner, and I'll call it quits at that point. Greg, do you want to take us out, or will you just leave the meeting?